Welcome to Lesson 11, the one where we finally talk about solid but without the Java ceremony. Here's the truth. 5 principles, 30 years old, and you've already been writing most of them since Lesson 6. Composition is dependency inversion. Protocols are interface segregation. Polymorphism is open-closed. We're just naming what you know, then layering on the 3 patterns you'll actually reach for weekly: strategy, factory, and adapter. So here's where we're headed. 4 mental models. Read each solid letter as a Python tool you already use. Apply strategy by swapping implementations behind a protocol. Recognize that every class method constructor like from DICT is really a factory, and use adapter to wrap an awkward third-party interface into something your domain actually wants. By the end, design conversations stop feeling like philosophy and start feeling like code you've already written. Let's make solid concrete. S is just small focused classes from Lesson 6. One reason to change. O is polymorphism from Lesson 8. Extend behavior without editing the original. L means your overrides keep the same signature, straight from Lesson 5. I is 1 protocol per role, like we did in Lesson 10. And D, inject your dependencies through abo init a, also Lesson 6. 5 letters, 5 tools you've already written. Speaking of which, here's strategy, which is really just D and I shaking hands. Define a protocol for the algorithm, write a couple of concrete classes that match the shape, and let the cart accept any of them through its constructor. No abstract base class, no registry, no ceremony. Need a different discount on Black Friday? Pass in a different object. That's the whole pattern. Now factory, and in Python, this one's almost embarrassingly simple. In Java, you'd spin up a whole user factory class. Here, you slap the class method on money and write from string, from API, from sense, each one a named constructor that returns CLS. You've been doing this since Lesson 4. It just turns out the pattern has a fancy name. Adapter is the same idea, scaled up. Stripe hands you stripe, charge, create with amounts in cents and currency strings. Your domain wants payment, charge, amount. Clean, decimal, Boolean. So you write a thin stripe adapter that has a stripe SDK underneath and exposes your shape on top. Tomorrow you swap in PayPal adapter, same charge method, and the rest of your code never notices. Now here's the meta lesson. Don't go hunting for places to apply this stuff. Solid and patterns are answers to specific pains, so wait for the pain. Class juggling 5 unrelated jobs, split it. Drowning in if-is instance chains, strategy. 3 different ways to construct the same object. Factory, third-party API shape clashing with yours, adapter. But if all 4 answers are no, walk away. Yagni applies to design patterns just as hard as it applies to features. So once the pain shows up, here are 6 reflexes to reach for. SRP. If your class description needs an AND, split it. OCP. When I's instance chains grow, replace them with polymorphism. LSP. Subclasses keep the parent's signature. No surprises. ISP. Small protocols, reader and writer, beat one fat interface. DIP. Depend on the protocol, inject the concrete. And patterns? They're just shared names for shapes you're already writing. Internalize these 6 and solid stops feeling like homework. Here's your one-screen reference. 12 cells covering all 5 solid letters plus strategy, factory, adapter, and a few habits worth burning in. Notice the pattern. SRP splits big classes, ISP splits fat protocols, strategy swaps algorithms behind one, adapter wraps third-party junk, and composition quietly enables DIP. Type hint the protocol, mock it for tests, and remember, Yagni for patterns. Wait for the pain, then reach for the right shape. Speaking of pain, here are the 5 ways developers shoot themselves in the foot with this stuff. Abstract factory builder is Java cosplay. Solid on a 50-line script is wasted ceremony. Protocol on every class clutters code that has exactly 1 implementation. And the subtle ones, Splitting a cart into 5 files that always change together isn't SRP. It's chaos with extra imports. Worst of all, picking a pattern before you understand the problem. Design first, name it later. Time to put it to work. 3 exercises, each one short enough to do tonight. First, grab 3 classes from any code base and run the 5 solid questions on them. You're not fixing everything, just learning to spot which violation actually hurts. Second, take the cart from L06, bolt on 3 discount strategies behind a protocol, and swap them without touching cart code. Third, the senior reflex. Pick a library you depend on, define what your code actually needs, and wrap it in an adapter. Do these and patterns stop being theory. And that's professional, in the bag. Solid, strategy, factory, adapter. 4 tools you now actually understand, not just recognize. Next up is the capstone, Lesson 12, where we stop learning patterns one at a time and compose every concept from L01 through L11 into a single shippable e-commerce domain model. The tag shifts to grad. See you there.